Welcome back to the Utah Divorce Terms Glossary video series. Most definitions are from or based upon Black's Law Dictionary, but some definitions are taken from Utah court or statutory sources or are my own. Today's term is domestic violence, and strap in, this is long. In Utah, domestic violence is defined by statute extensively in Utah's criminal code. See Utah Code Section 77-36-14. Domestic violence or domestic violence offense means any criminal offense involving violence or physical harm or threat of violence or physical harm or any attempt, conspiracy, or solicitation to commit a criminal offense involving violence or physical harm when committed by one cohabitant against another. Domestic violence or domestic violence offense includes commission or attempt to commit any of the following offenses by one cohabitant against another. A. Aggravated assault, as described in Section 76-5-103. B. Aggravated cruelty to an animal, as described in subsection 76-9-3014, with the intent to harass or threaten the other cohabitant. C. Assault, as described in Section 76-5-102. D. Criminal homicide, as described in Section 76-5-201. E. Harassment, as described in Section 76-5-106. F. Electronic communication harassment, as described in Section 76-9-201. G. Kidnapping, child kidnapping, or aggravated kidnapping, as described in Section 76-5-301, 76-5-301.1, and 76-5-302. H. Mayhem, as described in Section 76-5-105, sexual offenses, as described in 76, Chapter 5, Part 4, sexual offenses and sexual exploitation of a minor and aggravated sexual exploitation of a minor, as described in Section 76-5B-201 and 76-5B-201.1. J. Stalking, as described in Section 76-5-106.5. K. Unlawful detention or unlawful detention of a minor, as described in Section 76-5-304. L. Violation of a protective order or ex parte protective order, as described in Section 76-5-108. M. Any offense against property described in Title 76, Chapter 6, Part 1, property destruction, Title 76, Chapter 6, Part 2, burglary and criminal trespass, or Title 76, Chapter 6, Part 3, robbery. N. Possession of a deadly weapon with a criminal intent, as described in Section 76-10-507. O. Discharge of a firearm from a vehicle near a highway or in the direction of any person, building, or vehicle, as described in Section 76-10-508. P. Disorderly conduct, as defined in Section 76-9-102, if a conviction or adjudication of disorderly conduct is the result of a plea agreement in which the perpetrator was originally charged with a domestic violence offense, otherwise described in this subsection. 4. Except that a conviction or adjudication of disorderly conduct as a domestic violence offense in the manner described in this subsection 4P does not constitute a misdemeanor crime of domestic violence under 18 U.S.C. Section 921 and is exempt from the Federal Firearms Act, 18 U.S.C. Section 921 et sequentia. Q. Child abuse, as described in Section 76-5-114. R. Threatening use of a dangerous weapon, as described in Section 76-10-506. S. Threatening violence, as described in Section 76-5-107. T. Tampering with a witness, as described in Section 76-8-508. U. Retaliation against a witness or victim, as described in Section 76-8-508.3. V. Unlawful distribution of an intimate image, as described in Section 76-5B-203, or unlawful distribution of a counterfeit image, as described in Section 76-5B-205. W. Sexual battery, as described in Section 76-9-702.1. X. Voyeurism, as described in Section 76-9-702.7. Y. Damage to or interruption of a communication device, as described in Section 76-6-108, or Z, an offense described in subsection 78B-7-806.1, i.e. violation of a jail release court order or jail release agreement.